All right, let's just dive right in. We're going to go back in time, way back, over 4,000 years ago, to meet one of the most brilliant and honestly baffling civilizations in all of human history, the Indus Valley Civilization. These people were absolute master builders, real innovators, but they're also a complete and total mystery.
I want you to picture this. We're talking cities with perfectly planned street grids, multi-story brick houses, and get this, super sophisticated sanitation systems with private wells and bathrooms. This wasn't Rome, it wasn't Athens. This was South Asia. And they were doing all of this thousands of years earlier. Their engineering was just on a whole other level for the ancient world.
And this is where it gets really weird. For all their incredible sophistication, they left behind no giant pyramids, no flashy palaces, and no big statues of powerful kings. It's a huge contradiction. And, to top it all off, they left behind this beautiful, complex script that even today, nobody can read. It's like their entire story is just locked away.
So let's start by trying to piece together what we do know. How did this incredibly organized society actually work? Well, the biggest clues are hidden in the ruins of their magnificent cities.
This wasn't some flash in the pan. The Indus civilization evolved over thousands of years. It started with these early farming villages way back around 7000 BCE, and then, boom, by 2600 BCE, it just exploded into this massive urban culture. It hit its peak for about 700 years before a really long period of decline finally set in. What's really staggering, though, is the sheer uniformity across their entire civilization. I mean, whether you were in Mohenjo-Daro with its mysterious Great Bath, Harappa with its giant granaries, or De La Vera with its incredible water reservoirs, you'd find the same stuff. Planned street grids, advanced drains, and even standardized brick sizes. This suggests a level of central planning and coordination that is it's mind-boggling for the ancient world. And this focus on public works really shows you how different they were. While Egypt was busy building giant pyramids for their pharaohs, the Indus people were building drains, wells, and communal baths for everybody. The evidence really points to a more egalitarian, community-focused society, without the powerful godlike kings you see everywhere else. So who was in charge? A council of priests? City elders? We just don't know. And that question, who was in charge, it leads us right to the biggest challenge of all. How do you possibly get inside the minds of a people when you can't read a single word they wrote?
This right here, this is the key that could unlock everything. These beautifully carved seals are found everywhere, and they have a script with over 400 unique symbols. But without something like a Rosetta Stone to help us translate, it's a code we just can't crack. Are these names, gods, records of trade? Their whole belief system, their history, their stories, it's all trapped behind this wall of silence.
So here's the most crucial thing to remember. Everything we think we know about them is just an interpretation. It's a guess based on the objects they left behind. And as we're about to see, those interpretations can be really, really influenced by the people making them.
Let me show you a perfect example. This is probably the most famous artifact from the Indus Valley. For almost 100 years, she's been called the Dancing Girl, a symbol of their incredible artistry. But what if it's completely wrong? Exactly. Modern scholars like Upinder Singh are really pushing back, questioning this century-old label. Because when you actually dig into the evidence, the story of how she got that name, well, it starts to fall apart pretty quickly. Okay, so the name Dancing Girl was given to her by the British archaeologist who found her, a guy named John Marshall. He saw her confident, nude posture, and he immediately connected her to the Davidasis, the temple dancers of India. But this was a total assumption, colored by his own cultural lens. And here's the crucial detail. She wasn't found in a temple. She was found in a regular house in what looks like a bathing area near a fireplace. The context just doesn't scream temple dancer. And that forces you to ask this really uncomfortable question. If this iconic identity is based on a colonial-era assumption, not hard evidence, what other fundamental things about the Indus Valley might we have completely wrong? This brings us to the final and maybe the greatest mystery of them all. After centuries of incredible success, this huge, organized, sophisticated civilization just faded away. So what on earth happened? The leading theory today is that it was a slow, cascading collapse, all driven by climate change. It wasn't one single event, more like a domino effect. First, the river systems they relied on, especially the mighty Ghaggar-Hakra, started to dry up or change course.
This just crippled their agriculture. Without a food surplus, their big trade networks collapsed. And finally, people just abandoned the great cities, moving to smaller villages. The great urban experiment, it was over.
Now, for decades, the story of a slow collapse from climate change has been the main theory. But this isn't just a story about the past. New scientific tools are now answering old questions and totally challenging some long-held assumptions about who these people were and what really went down.
For a really long time, a popular idea was the Aryan Invasion theory, the theory that waves of migrants from Central Asia just swept in, conquered the Indus cities, and caused their collapse. It was a simple, kind of dramatic explanation. But new evidence suggests it's just wrong. And this is the game changer. Scientists were finally able to analyze ancient DNA from skeletons found at the massive Indus site of Rakhigarhi, and the results were stunning. The DNA showed that these people were indigenous to the Indian subcontinent with deep ancient roots right there. It found zero evidence of a big invasion or genetic influx from Central Asia when the civilization was declining. The people of the Indus Valley weren't replaced. Their descendants are very likely still part of the population of South Asia today. And this is a living, breathing field of study. The story is definitely not finished. I mean, just recently, archaeologists found a completely new settlement, expanding the known map of this civilization even deeper into the harsh Thar Desert. We are still finding the missing pieces of this incredible puzzle. So let's just bring it all together. We know a changing climate and a dying river, the Hakra, played a massive role in the end of this ancient civilization, forcing its people to adapt and move on. That river, the lifeblood for maybe 1 million people, just vanished for thousands of years. But here's a final, kind of chilling thought. In our own time of intense climate change, recent super monsoons have caused so much flooding that these ancient, forgotten river channels are actually starting to fill with water again. The ghost of the Hakra is stirring. The same natural forces that ended their world could be reawakening to reshape ours.